Thank you everybody for tuning in for another session of Onshape. Today we're going to focus on a particular aspect of Onshape. So it's called analytics. Onshape is a really cool cloud application that knows everything you do. So it's very easy for us to go in and dig in and mine all kinds of really useful information. So that's kind of what I'm going to be covering today is really this topic of its ability to do the analytics. So the first thing, you'll notice what it says up here at the very top is Enterprise Analytics. So there's different licenses for Onshape. Um, there's an enterprise license, and this unlocks the ability to do the analytics that we're going to go through here today. So some of the things that we can do is project tracking, audit trails. We can pick on any particular file or project or person and find out, what's going on with that. And we'll go through some different examples of that. I'm going to start off doing some PowerPoints, and then eventually we'll get into the software itself so we can see it live. But again, everything is in the cloud. The only thing you need to access it is something that gets on the internet. We're not tied to any particular type of hardware. So any type of hardware you have, as long as it gets on the internet, you can get onto Onshape. So who has access to analytics? It's really the administrator, but he can give those permissions to other people so that they have access to it. And you can also give it to teams. Let's say you have a project and you assign a team to accomplish this particular project. They can, as a team, take a look at the different analytics for that project. How much time do we spend on it? Things like that. Where do you access this? Right when you log in to Onshape, we have documents, right? That's where we create parts and assemblies and drawings. We have activity. So things that I've been working on recently, we have the analytics. That's what we're going to focus on today. And then we also have action items, which are just tasks or things that people have asked us to do for them. So it's sort of like a task list. But we're going to talk about analytics. So after you sign into Onshape, you'll be able to see this analytics button available for you if you have the enterprise edition of Onshape. So the first thing is there's my analytics. That's me personally as a user. Show me my activity, the projects and documents I've been working on, the different things that I've released. So remember, Onshape has a built-in release workflow in it. So it's not your typical CAD system. It's a data management system and a CAD system merged together. And so along with data management, you also have workflows. And so when we do have a release workflow, we can check on our work, which things have been released, and so on and so forth. Also, you'll notice over here along the left side, there are other things that we can take a look at, same type of information, but maybe for the whole company or for a whole team. And we'll go through these, not all of them, but a lot of them, so we can kind of see the different capabilities and things, information that we can pull from Onshape. So the first thing is the analytics kind of at a high level. We can see a lot of information here, different things, different people who have accessed Onshape, different locations down here from where they accessed it, how much work each individual person did. We'll kind of get maybe a bigger screen here of this. Here we can see that we have 12 active users. They created 6 different objects, 15 different versions. They've released 5 of those. Sharing. Remember, Onshape can do real-time collaboration, so people can work on the same part, the same drawing at the same time. So 10 of those were being done. Didn't import anything, but exported some information to people. Didn't really create any drawings. But like I said, the different colors here in the bar charts, and this is, remember, a very high-level overview. We can dive into any of this, but it's showing me different colors for different people. So on what days and how much time did they put in on this different projects, or in this case, yeah, this is just a listing of projects that we see over here. So you can see the listing of projects, how many documents are in each project, and then the modeling time spent on each project. So if you're the type of company that charges by the hour, maybe you're kind of a job shop in a way, this is a really good way of keeping track of the information, the amount of time in the Onshape world that you have spent on that particular product, or in this case, a project. We can also go over here. You'll notice that there's filters. So this is giving us a list of everybody. And over the last 15 days, I can come by and say, let's change that. Let's just look at in a range of days between Thursday and Friday of this week, or let's say, any time in this year, or there's all kinds of different ways of kind of cutting up and displaying certain portions of this information in time standpoint. And then also, are we looking at different projects? What particular project do we want? Remember, see, here we have a big list of all the projects. We can pick on a particular one and get the same information, but just based on that project. Another thing that a lot of people ask about is how can I see who has access to a particular file? And that's just under permissions, right? So under all, we can have a list of all this other information, but also under permissions, permissions for documents. So it gives us a list of all the permissions granted to users for a given document. So I have this part, who else has access to it? And we can kind of keep track of things that way. So here's a list. When I do a document, give me the permissions on it. It lists out all the users that have access to that document, and then also their permissions. So some people can only view things, other people can edit. Some people are kind of an administrative role, or kind of like an owner where they can do anything with it. So that's really the type of things that we can get on a per document or per file basis. And then this is really kind of a pretty powerful one. This is called the Audit Trail. So just under Audit and then Trail, and it lists all the events happening over a given time frame. So for this week, how much time did I spend on this particular part or drawing or analysis, or I should say assembly? And it gives us the analytics based on that. And then, as I mentioned before, we have built-in release workflows. So what parts have I created? How many releases have been done over the last 30 days? Which ones are still pending? All that type of information is available here in Onshape. So this would be an example of that, looking at different releases. So we have 14 releases, 12 of those 14 have been approved, none have been rejected, none have been obsoleted. So that means there's a couple of them in the hopper that are still under the heading of pending. But here we can see in the little graph, blue things are released, the green are still pending. And we can see that gives us percentages. And then here are the different people. How many things did they release? How many things did they approve? So it's breaking each down as individuals in the company and the type of activity they've done. And I mentioned before that we've released 2, approved 2. That means there's 2 pending. So we can see down here in the lower area, we can see the pending, who it was created by, and then also how long it's been pending, how long it's been sitting on somebody's desk in order to get approved, right? That's kind of hard to find sometimes in most systems, but again, it's really easy here in Onshape. Which of my parts have been released or rejected? Again, that's where we're diving in, just not an overall, like we we're looking before, overall activity of releases, but this is a per document type of release. So anytime we kind of see this audit capability, that means we're diving in and searching for a particular instance and finding out information about that. So here's a way of searching for things under using the filters. This is an example. I just did a quick screen capture, but I'm looking for things under the state of released and that are done by me. And so it comes back and gives me a list down here. I've only released 1 part. It's giving me the name of the part, and we can see that its state is released over there. So these filters are really useful for narrowing down exactly what you want. An interesting thing or a nice thing about these filters is if you do create one, you can save them, right? So you can reuse it, and you can also share that filter with other people. So if you have kind of a company standard filter that just searches on a particular project, you can share that with the other people in your team, and they have the same, can get at the same information the exact same way. You don't have to go through the pull down menus every single time to do that. Also, the concept of teams, as I mentioned before, there's projects, things that need to get done, and then who are the people that do that? We can put them together in different teams in Onshape, and then here is just a real quick way of listing out who's associated with which teams. You can be members, obviously, of multiple teams and things like that. But just a real quick way in the analytics to show the different teams that we have in our company and who's who in the teams. And then the question is, you got all this great information, how can I get it out to other people that aren't using Onshape? So we can do a PDF and a CSV download real simply anytime on any menu, you can just in the upper right, click on that and say download as PDF or CSV. So we can get that out for maybe other systems or just other people that need that information. And then the question is, can I do this on my phone? Can I do the same type of capabilities on my phone? If you can make parts on your phone with Onshape, you can certainly do this in Onshape. So yes, the answer is yes. You can do the same capabilities I'm going to be going through here on my laptop. You can do it on your phone. The screen's a little smaller, but you know, the same information is there. And obviously, you know, it works with tablets as well. So Android or you know, iPhones, both of those work great. So with that, let's take a look at Onshape, and we'll take a look at how we're working with things. So as I mentioned before, when we log into Onshape, this is our home page. So these are things I've been working on, folders and things like that. But since I have the Enterprise Edition, I can go into Analytics. And this is going to allow me to kind of drill down and see different things that I have done and that other people in my company have done. So first of all, I'm doing my analytics. So I'll just take a look at a general overview of things that I have done. And what we see up here is it breaks it down and how much modeling time I've spent over the last, what was it, 30 days? No, a couple months since the beginning of the year. But how much time I've spent, how many things I've created, I've shared it. I've created 78 different elements, opened up different documents. I'm working just on one project, so we just see a single project here. And then the types of things that I did. Was I working on assemblies, was working on drawings, working on parts? We can kind of see that over the period of time. These are the different things that I've worked on and how much time I've spent on those. And then a little bit down here, here are the different days and how much time each day I was working on things. Over here, where was I working, right? I'm in the western suburbs of Chicago, so I haven't moved anywhere, but that's where I've been working. Also, how have I been accessing Onshape? So most of my time I spend using my laptop here, my Windows 10, but I've also used my phone a number of times. In fact, about 30% of the time I'm using my phone. And that's more than most users. Most users, it's about 1 in 8 people will access Onshape with their phone. But one of the capabilities certainly that the phone allows you to do is what I'm doing right now. So that's one of the reasons why you can use your phone no matter where you are. You can get at this type of information. So just for my manager, in case he's watching, there's a big gap right here. I was on vacation during that time, so that's why I didn't work. Let's go back, take a look at the projects and documents that I've worked with. So created a lot of documents. These are the different projects that I'm involved with over here. Here are all the documents that are in those projects. So lots and lots and lots of documents here. And again, we can drill down into any one of these. I'm going to go back to my analytics. One other thing was releases. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but then, you know, what things have I done so far? And we can see release, everything that I've done has been released, but there is one pending, and that is from somebody else in our company, Nick, who is waiting for me to approve something. So it's pending. It's from him, but it's something that I need to do. That's why it didn't show up here, because it's not, I'm not waiting for somebody to approve something. Somebody's waiting for me. And you can see it's been sitting here for 7 days. So gives me a little bit of information about that. So it's kind of accountability in a way too. Let's go and take a look at this a little bit more. Let's look at the all, right? So let's look at the whole company. I'm not going to look at activity overview. So this is going to be activity overview over the last week. So it defaults sometimes to 30 days, 15 days, 7, and again, we can change that anytime that we want. But here we can take it. There's 5 active users in our company, created 7 different things, 8 different versions, 4 releases, so on and so forth. You can see that. We can see the different projects that have been worked on, amount of time that has been spent on each day on different things. And then down here below, we can take a look at the graph. You notice that there's a big blue area. There are actually 2 different versions of this tooth holder, version 1 and version 2. That's the blue and the green here. And they've been taking up most of our time over the last 7 days. But I can turn these off. So I can just click on version 1, click on version 2, turn them off, and now we can see how the other projects and how much time have been committed to those. So it's really easy for us to kind of have this interactive graphs and kind of see really where has time been spent mostly. Also, here we can see that we have some things that are pending release, and then we have other things that have been released. Again, the different colors represent the different people. Remember, I said there's 5 people working on here, so we can see the amount of work they have done. And then here's our location. So a lot of the people are up in Minneapolis, working up there where it's really cold. It's not a whole lot better down here in the Chicago area, but that's where I am. So we can kind of see our 2 locations. No place warm. So let's go back and take a look at analytics again. Something we might want to look at, people ask a lot about, are about documents, right? So I create all these documents. And document would be like a part file, assembly file, a drawing. It could be other things as well, certainly, but that's the kind of terminology we use. But we can look at who has access to documents. So this is kind of an interesting chart. Watch this when it starts making, and this is over a long period of time. I could stop it right now and say just over the last 10 days or 15 days. But this is going to show us all the documents. It's kind of a scatter chart and all the people that have access to it. So it's kind of bringing things around here. The red things are projects. The blue ones are individual files. And then we also have little images. So here's me. Here's the other guys in our company and the things they've worked on, and we're tied together. So you can see that I am sharing a project with another guy here, right? And it gives me the name of the project and all of that. I guess you might get the impression that I don't share well with others because a lot of these things are just me making stuff. But you can see over here, these guys talk a lot and interchange information a lot. Here we have a new project, and you can see that it's tied to just about everybody. Everybody has access to it. I do, Doug does, Alan does, everybody. So everybody has access to this. So it's kind of a nice interactive way to kind of see things laid out this way, as opposed to just looking at tables of information and things like that. Let's go back to documents here for a second, and let's look at a list of documents. So here it's going in. You can see that the filter is set for any value, anytime. So lots and lots of different documents represented here. Remember before in the charts, they were showing different projects that we were working on, but here we're going to take a look at some documents. And let's go over and say, let's take a look at a tooth holder. Remember, we were looking at that one before. So I can go and select on that. We can go over here. If we follow it over, we can see that there are 2 people working on it, right? So 2 users. And I can select on them, let's say document permissions. So we can dive down into this, and we can see the 2 people who are working on this particular document that we're working on, and their permissions, right? So let's go back. Another thing has to be tied up again with permissions is what type of document permissions do we have? So I can go and filter specifically for or under the heading of permissions and say document permissions. So this is another way of getting at the same kind of information. In this particular case, I'm going to stop it from running everything, and I'm going to change our filter here. And for the filter, let's just look for the document name. And I know we're working on some kind of a drivetrain. So we'll say, let's look at that. And we'll say, now run it on that particular one. So here I'm just making use of the filter. And a little pull down. Again, I could save that filter and then share that with other people. But here are the people that have access to that and their permissions that they have. So we can see a nice little list here. And again, I can just hit the little button up here and send this out as a PDF or CSV or something like that to other people. And then finally, one last thing that I wanted to highlight with this is resources. So resources is pretty neat. And it gives us information like how much time did I spend on a particular thing. So I'm going to go over here to activity. And again, it's going to be looking at a bunch of things. I'm going to filter this out, and we're going to say, let's just filter for one thing, right? So the one document I want to look for here, I was working earlier this week on some kind of a bearing configurator. So this is the guy I want to search on. And I can say, run the report on that. Give me give me some information about that, really the resource information on that. So here it says, it's an Onshape, here's your bearing configurator, it was done on the 17th by me, and I spent about 9 hours on it. So the 9 hours is right here. So for time tracking, it's really easy for us to go into resources, how much resource was thrown at this particular file. It'll tell you who did it and for how long. So very, very powerful tools, very, very easy to use, as you could see. If you've ever worked with a PDM or a PLM system, it could be Innovia, Teamcenter, Windchill, Fusion PLM, or EPDM, or you can name any of them. But can you get this kind of information out of those systems? Is it this easy? See, the thing is that Onshape is a database with a CAD system wrapped around it. So all this information is just part of the system. We can access it, we can mine it very, very easily. I know of systems that have to have a special server to load the software that does the data mining to produce these kinds of reports. Here it's just built into Onshape. And the nice thing is it's all in the cloud. I can access it from anywhere. As long as I got the internet and a phone in my hand, I can get at any of this information that we looked at here today. So that's kind of bringing us to a close to our discussion on analytics and how easy it is in Onshape to find the type of information and the type of work that you put into things.